Hello. Wait, let's go up here. That's better. Okay, so I'm just gonna preface and say I'm freaking on one today. That's a little weird expression I say when I say like, oh, she's on one or I'm on one. It's like, I'm just on one. Like I'm super hyper, or it usually means like someone's going off about something. Like someone's just juiced up, someone's hyped up. Like that's what it means. But right now I'm saying in the sense of like I'm hyper as fook. And I'm just going off. So I'm in a really good mood. I've been doing a bunch of kind of the boring stuff of social media work. I've been looking at a bunch of different contracts this morning, which I'm like over it. So I just was like, I'm gonna check in with the vlog really quickly. But so I really had no plan of what I was gonna say. I just literally hit record. Let me collect my thoughts. Basically, I was sitting here thinking like, what should I do for my next YouTube video? And literally, I'm not kidding, I have a question box up and someone like responded in the question box. It was like a bulking versus cutting video. And I was like, thank you and thank you, uni. So for today's video, I'm going to clearly and distinctly take you guys through the difference between a bulking phase and a cutting phase, because I get a lot of questions on the two of them. I just got dressed to go to the gym. I'm wearing literally all Elfleet. I just started my period today. This is also Elfleet. In case like anyone was curious, I doubt it, but like if you're also on your period, cycle sisters. So yeah, I'm not feeling like the leanest I've ever been, but you know, we're fine. Human body fluctuates. And on that frackin' note, what a better way to really start off and commence this beautiful video with some mother truckin' self-love. So, let's do some affirmations, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Also, it's been a dreary like past 2 days here in Utah, and usually like live fit and dreary days just like don't align. So like we're just having a Sunday state of mind today. Okay. I don't know why I'm so weird today. I am in alignment with my highest self. I am free to authentically be me. I love myself. I'm proud of the person I am. I feel free and excited and proud to express the person I truly am. I speak my authentic truth. I am a valuable, irreplaceable, and powerful presence. I am capable and worthy and deserving and able. I am living my dream life in my dream body. Every day I am feeling more beautiful and comfortable in my skin. I embody true, genuine love, light, abundance, and gratitude, and it makes my energy luminous. I am a fountain of good energy and love for my environment and for the people around me. Every cell of my body is made up of love and light and all things good, and it inevitably attracts good things into my life. I believe life is full of blessings and opportunities and abundance. Good opportunities constantly flow into my life. I am a beacon of love, light, and abundance, and my environment is a direct mirror of my energetic state. Okay, but let me show you guys my pre-workout snack. I'm having this Quest pumpkin pie protein bar. This flavor is so good. And it's their like coated style of bar, which is my favorite. Like the texture is so good. I'm also gonna have a rice cake with nut butter and banana. Pretty sure. Okay, so what do the terms bulking and cutting even mean? Basically, simplistically, bulking is when you are in a state of putting on muscle mass and honestly just weight as a whole, but ideally mostly just muscle mass, but some fat gain is inevitable. And cutting is when you're in a fat loss phase trying to lose body weight. And ideally, again, preserving muscle mass while hopefully cutting down on body fat. So now what is the value of going in such a strict, harsh direction of either bulking or cutting? Basically, it just allows you to more efficiently charge towards one specific goal. So like specifically, for example, if you're naturally already very tiny, very lean, like that's an example of when it would make the most sense just to go full force into a bulk where you're focusing on putting on mass and specifically muscle mass. Whereas if you're someone with a lot of excess body fat who currently is eating much over the maintenance level of calories, that's where it may make sense for you just to go into a strict cutting phase and charge towards that direction. So I guess it's it's just more of an efficient way to achieve your goals by just trying to focus on one thing at a time. Now, you don't need to enter these extremes by any means. You also don't need to be in an extreme state for it to be a desirable option for you. For example, you don't need to be super skinny and lean to go into a bulk, and you don't need to be overweight in order to go into a cutting phase. It definitely is still an option for everyone. Okay, so let's go to the gym, and then when we get there, I will tell you the difference on how to approach a bulk and a cut.
My mood just changed so quickly. This is me in a nutshell. Gets hyper as fook, and then 4 seconds later I'm like, I'll take a nap. Yeah. Okay. Anywho, back to the topic at hand. Basically, the main difference that comes into play with the bulk versus a cut is the amount of food that you're eating. When you go into a bulking phase, you are technically in a caloric surplus, meaning that you are intaking more calories than you are burning, whereas in a cutting phase, you are in a calorie deficit, meaning you are consuming less calories than you are expending throughout the day. A very common question is like, what foods do I need to eat to bulk, etc. There's no specific food that makes you gain weight, lose weight, gain muscle, burn body fat. There just isn't. Now, there are different types of foods that make it easier to achieve these two goals, to make it easier to be in a surplus, whereas easier to be in a deficit. And those types of foods are known as calorie dense foods, where foods that make it easier to be in a deficit or high volume foods are essentially foods that are less calorically dense. Sticking with the bulking category, foods that are very calorically dense are things such as like oils, nut butters, nuts, seeds, like granola, whole grains, those sort of things, where essentially they're just more calories per like volume, if you will, I think is how they would measure it. Whereas foods that are less calorically dense are essentially high volume, meaning they take up a lot of space on your plate. There's a lot of volume, but it's low calorie. Those are things like your fruits and your vegetables, you know, subbing for cauliflower rice instead of actual rice, popcorn, that sort of thing, where you can eat a lot of it, but it's still low calorie. Now, another common question is like, okay, cool, but how many calories should I be going into a surplus and how many calories should I be going into a deficit by? Bulking, it really depends on if you're going to be doing like a dirty bulk or a clean bulk. A dirty bulk is something I don't really believe in, but it's essentially just eating whatever you want with no real strategy and just consuming, not really caring about the quality of your calories, just making sure you're getting calories in, whether that being from donuts, fast food, or whether it being from chicken and brown rice and broccoli. So there's no intention to like minimize fat gain or have any sort of mindful intention with the type of food that you're putting in your body. Whereas a lean bulk, the focus is to minimize fat gain. You're still eating in a strategic way. Your calorie surplus is in a controlled manner, and you're still being mindful of like what you're putting in your body and where you're pulling those calories from. So in terms of that, I feel like a dirty bulk can be upwards of like 500 calories, just like eating whatever, whereas like a lean bulk is anywhere between an excess of like 200 to 300 calories above your maintenance level of calories every single day. Research has shown that it's not really like a compounded effect in terms of muscle gain. It's not necessarily like the more you eat, the more you're in a surplus, the faster or better you put on muscle mass. I used to think that, and it's not true. Really, all you need is a calorie surplus of like 200 or 300 to appropriately enhance the muscle building process. You really don't need anything more than that. Wherein kind of similarly to if you're going into a cut, I would never recommend going into a deficit that's more than 500 calories. So I would say to start with a deficit of around 300 calories and then slowly work your way down as you begin to enter a plateau in your weight loss, and to allow you to keep progressing in your cut. Now, here's the kicker. If you're someone who does not like to track or just simply does not track like myself, you can still go into a bulking or cutting phase mindfully. That is what I've done throughout my past like 5 years of my fitness journey, and I was still able to see results. Was it the most efficient way, maybe not, but it allowed me to really get in tune with my body and still honor my hunger and my cravings and giving me still food freedom without needing to like track every single thing that I put into my mouth. So for me, in order for me to gauge if I'm in a deficit or a surplus, I essentially just listen to my hunger cues. A really big prereq that I really need to mention, if you are looking to do this mindfully without tracking, you do need to make sure that you're still eating an adequate amount of calories to begin with, especially if you're looking to go into a cut. So for me, like, I was familiar enough with how much I should be eating, and I knew that I was in a healthy place to begin with, and that I knew I was eating around my maintenance level of calories to start with. So in terms of going into a surplus, again, I just use my hunger cues as a gauge. So I just eat until I feel pretty freaking full and I know that I'm eating above my maintenance level of calories. I also eat fairly similarly from day to day, so I'm able to gauge how much I eat on a daily basis, and so I kind of just will use reference of saying, okay, I'm eating a little bit more than I normally am, meaning I am eating more than I previously was, meaning that I'm in a surplus. So essentially, I don't really focus on changing too many things. I just focus on increasing my portion sizes of what I normally eat, or I'll do some substitutes to make it easier to achieve that surplus. For example, if I've been currently using cauliflower rice, I'll substitute that for real rice, things like that. Now, if I'm looking to go into a deficit or go into a cutting phase, again, I will still just pay attention to my hunger cues, except now I pay very close attention to when I feel full. So I'll kind of stop eating when I feel satiated, as opposed to eating every single meal until I'm completely stuffed. This to the point where, again, I'm not like having constant hunger all the time. It allows me to gauge and know that I'm eating a little bit less than I normally do. Again, I focus on decreasing portion sizes and then making reverse swaps. So for example, if I had been eating rice, I'll make a substitute for cauliflower rice to make it easier to eat lower calorie, but still feel like I'm eating a lot of food and still feeling full. And last thing I'm gonna leave you with before I go train, and then I'm gonna talk to you guys about like actual training portion of bulking and cutting, is the kicker is that people don't really understand the progression in bulking and cutting, because I feel like it's not super known how the metabolism works. The metabolism is an adaptable, flexible system. So it works with us to help us stay in homeostasis. Throwback to like 10th grade biology. It wants our body to be able to stay in homeostasis. So if we are eating more food, our body is going to slowly adapt to that higher food intake to help to equalize everything, right? To equalize the calories in versus calories out to help us stay in homeostasis. Same thing happens when you go into a cutting phase. Our metabolism adapts to equate our calories in versus calories out, stabilize us, stabilize our weight, and stay safe. When you're going into a bulking phase, that's why I say to start with a lower amount of calories. So like start with 200 or 300 calories, right? Sit there, see how your body responds. Your weight may increase, it may stay the same, it just depends. Now it may increase at first, maybe a pound or two, and then it might stabilize after 2 weeks of eating in that surplus. Give it time, right? I would say like another week or two, whatever, how slow, however you want your pace to be. Then once you feel like your weight has really plateaued and stabilized at that surplus of about 200 calories, then that's a sign that you can then increase your calories again by maybe another 100, another 150, or another 200, and eat at that again, see how your weight responds. And then once your weight plateaus again, you stop increasing weight. Then if you would like to, you can increase your calories again. This allows you to keep progressing along that bulking journey, helps to keep increasing your calories, but doing it at a slow pace enough while you're allowing your metabolism enough time to adapt to that intake, to minimize unnecessary fat gain, and also allow like your digestion and hunger to upregulate instead of just like forcing a bunch of food on you all at once. What happens if you go in too big of a surplus too soon? That's going to cause unnecessary fat gain. It's going to cause really harsh bloating. It's going to cause a lot of stress on your digestion, even on your hunger. You're going to feel so full all the time. You're not going to feel hungry. And again, it kind of limits the amount of progression that you could do, because you already went from 0 to 100 instead of slowly climbing up that ladder, giving your body time to adjust, doing another step, using that time for progression with muscle gain, all that stuff, because it's shocking your body with giving it more calories to utilize. Then once your metabolism catches up, then increase again. Same concept goes for cutting. Start with a deficit of about 200, 300 calories. See how your body responds. If you're continuously dropping weight, you know, week by week, don't feel a need to drop calories again. Once your weight loss stalls and you've been sitting at the same weight for about 2 weeks, that's a big indication that your metabolism has now adapted to that lower amount of calorie intake. So now what you need to do is drop your calories by a little bit more again to help continue the fat loss phase and keep inching your metabolism along to allow you to keep burning body fat. Same situation there. I think people go into too big of a deficit too quickly because they don't understand that you kind of need the strategy of inching yourself along. I honestly think of it as like candy on the bottom of a string and like trying to get a baby to take it. If you just yank it and take it away from them, they're gonna cry and be like, this game sucks, I don't want to play. Or if you keep inching it along slowly and slowly and then you get them to keep walking and following the candy along the string, that's kind of like what happens with your metabolism, especially like with weight loss. If you just yank it away, your metabolism is just going to adapt way too quickly, and you're going to adapt so early on, then you're going to be at way too low of calories, and you're not going to be able to pull anymore to continue into that fat loss without getting to like an insanely dangerously low calorie intake. I really hope that makes sense. I know that was a little bit technical, but I do think it's really important in order to properly like implement these goals and work towards these goals over the long term.
Okay, I'm back from the gym. I was so hungry, so I didn't have time to talk. And I just came back and ate, and I just warmed up some leftovers, which I made last night, which was so good. It was salmon and potatoes, and I had broccoli, but we ate all the broccoli last night, so I didn't have any today during the lunch. I also snacked on carrots and hummus and some blue corn tortilla chips and guac. And now I really want something sweet, so I'm gonna make a little small smoothie. However, I was like, I need to share this with you guys. I literally have no patience. I can't even wait till I set up the camera. My friend opened up a juice shop with her friend, and they make like everything in-house, and they make their own nut milks, and wait for it. I love the name of it. It's their cosmic cacao milk, and it's, my battery's gonna die. Okay, we back. So I have to put this in my smoothie and just see how good it is. I just have chocolate protein powder. This one is from Vital Proteins. I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's just what I have. And then I just have a frozen berry blend. I think I'm gonna add some spinach in because I have not eaten a lot of greens today. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm also gonna add in these cacao nibs. I'm so excited. And here we are with the oat milk. Not oat milk, almond cashew. I'm so excited. I need to add ice. Oh my gosh. Wanna know what I just realized I need? I'm not even gonna be like, oh, it's a want, not a need. No, like it's a need. You know, like those tall spoons, like I need a smoothie spoon. Oh? You got, oh, wait, wait. Holy, that deserves a bleep. This genuinely tastes like chocolate ice cream. I have to say it's the milk. Oh my God. Wait, oh my God. So if you live in Utah, go Google Guest House Juicery, go there and get their cosmic cacao milk. Next common question, let's take my hair down, shall we? Let it loose, stay a while. How long does each last for? Great question, totally depends on your goals. Bulk has like a minimum time period and a cut has like a max time period. So for a bulk, you wanna like give your body enough time to be in that surplus in order to be able to see enough tangible changes. So I would say like at least 4 months. Usually every time I would bulk, it would be around 8 months. Like I would start in August/September and then start to cut like in March. And then in terms of cutting, this is what's more important, is to not be in a deficit for too long, because that's when you start to run your body into the ground. That's when different issues start to arise, like hormonal struggles, your sleep will start to take a hit, your digestion will start to take a hit. Just like, there's just many reasons you do not want to be in a deficit for too long. So I would not exceed a 12-week period of being in a deficit without going into like a diet break or doing like a mini reverse diet, something like like that. Like, but a cut can honestly, you could definitely do a mini cut for only like 4 weeks if you wanted to as well. So I would say like 4 to 12 weeks to stay in a deficit. Let's talk training. So in terms of a bulk, the main focus of your bulk is gonna be strength training, compound movements, trying to gain strength and size, that sort of thing. There's gonna be little to no emphasis on cardio. Whereas in a cutting phase, you're still gonna be focusing on strength training. That should be your main form of exercise and your priority, but there's going to be more accents. I love that word. That's the first time I used that word to describe cardio, and it's so true. Cardio is going to be like an accent in your training to help create that calorie deficit. What? Sorry, to help create that calorie deficit. So the main thing that's gonna be important in a bulk is implementing progressive overload to help you put on that size and strength. So progressive overload essentially means increasing the difficulty of your lifts over time. Now, basically the whole point is this is just like the metabolism adapts, your muscles adapt. Muscle building is specifically a signal-based process. So meaning there's 2 variables that go into creating and provoking muscle to grow. One is a stimulus on the muscle, which happens through progressive overload, and 2 is protein intake. So when you're in a bulking phase, you really want to make sure you're either continuously increasing your weight over time, increasing the amount of sets that you can do with a specific weight, increasing the amount of reps you can do within a certain weight, decreasing rest time, increasing time under tension, etc. So you really want to be doing your best to be constantly pushing yourself in your sessions, doing what you can to do 1 more rep, 5 more pounds in weight, just anything to keep progressing in the muscle building process. Otherwise, if you keep doing the same thing, you don't keep increasing the difficulty, eventually it's going to get easy. Your workouts and weight and all that stuff is going to get too easy, and then your body is going to have no reason to continue to build muscle because it's able to adequately handle that load. The whole point of muscle building is to keep that intensity up, to force the muscle to need to adapt by putting that stressful stimulus on it. Otherwise, if there's no stressful stimulus, there's literally no reason for the body to need to create more muscle fibers. Now, in terms of a cutting phase, weight training is still going to be a big important thing. You still are going to be wanting to try to implement progressive overload. You're still going to want to try to be keeping up the intensity, pushing the weight in your sessions, and just pushing yourself in your sessions as well, just to more than anything help to maintain your muscle mass. You still can build muscle while in a cutting phase or in a calorie deficit, because like I said, muscle building is a signal-based process dependent on muscle stimulus and your protein intake. However, it just kind of gets harder to do that the more conditioned you are as a lifter, because it just is harder to implement that progressive overload or that muscle stimulus without that extra energy, without those extra calories that you're normally consuming. It's very likely that you're just gonna feel lower energy, so it's gonna be harder to keep the intensity there in your sessions and therefore implement that progressive overload. But it's not to say that muscle building cannot be done, especially if you're new to the gym. You can definitely build muscle while being in that cutting phase. So most likely your training sessions in a cutting phase are gonna be consisting of you kind of maintaining where you're at, still pushing yourself to maintain muscle mass, but you're most likely not gonna be setting PRs every session like you may be doing in a bulk. My main thing when it comes to cardio, I always, till the day I die, I think I'm going to always recommend setting a step goal before you implement all this crazy cardio. So a step goal may also be an accent in your training program when you are trying to go through a cut. I recommend anywhere from 8K to 12K steps depending on how active you are / how sedentary you normally are in your day. And then in terms of cardio, that's something where I'd recommend only a few sessions a week. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, and there is no specific cardio that's gonna help you specifically target fat. I would say to have you choose cardio that you genuinely enjoy and can stick to, but I will say I would not have you be doing HIIT cardio sessions 3 times a week. Absolutely not. That is too stressful. It's just such a stressful form of cardio. All right guys, it's literally midnight the night before, or I guess the day of I'm uploading this. I forgot to film an outro. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys took a lot from this or learned something. I send you so much love, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace out and good night.